Thank you, Peter. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Divine Love. We appreciate you taking our time and being with us this morning. We are preparing for an awesome service on today, so let's get ready. We are located at 3617 Wyoming in the beautiful city of St. Louis, 63116. Our service today will be our statement of being, our praise team, our divine science practice and principles by Reverend Tia Atkins, our call to higher consciousness with Cheryl Brown and Peter Williams. We will then be followed by their musical selection, our meditation by Minister Asar Aten, and our speaker for today will be Reverend Dr. Howard Denson. Then we will have our offering, our doxology, and our closing. We're going to prepare for our statement of being, and it is, and if you would say it with me, God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God and ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
You wonder how he could love me so. I'll never know, because his precious love has given me security. Now I'm so happy. I'm happy. Look at me. I have been set free. All my sins are washed away. My nights turn to day. All because Christ has set me free. Hey, yeah, look at me. I have been set free. All my sins are washed away. My nights turn to day. All because Christ has set me free. Free. You wonder how he could love me so. I'll never know, for his precious love has given me security. Now I'm so happy. I'm really, really happy. Look at me. I have been set free. All my sins are washed away. My nights turn to day. All because Christ has set me free. Yeah, yeah. Look at me. I have been set free. All my sins are washed away. My nights turn to day. All because Christ has set me free. 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 Took all my sins away. Turned my midnight into day. He set me free. Christ has set me free. He set me free. Christ has set me free. Yeah. Christ has set me free. He set me free. Christ has set me free. He set me Christ has set me free. He set me Christ has set me free. He set me Christ has set me free. All my sins away. Christ has set me free. Turn my midnight Christ has set me free. Christ has set me free. He set me Christ has set me free. He set me free. He set me Christ has set me free. Christ has set me free.
Good morning. Today's principle deals with faith, and it answers the question, or attempts to, how much faith do you need? Faith is not a competition. When it comes to faith, you should not be comparing yourself to other people. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, so-and-so always gets what they want. They're such a good manifester. They must have more faith than I do. That is not necessarily the case. Everyone has a modicum of faith, and you have all the faith that you need. But faith isn't just about believing that God is. It is about knowing the principles of how to employ God's principles. There are people who not only believe, because a lot of people believe, but it's about getting results. It's about applying principles, about thinking positively, guarding your heart, covering your ears and your eyes and making sure that you're only allowing the positive into your spirit. And that requires taking action. The action of removing yourself from situations that are not helpful. The action of guarding your mouth, because the word says that it's not what goes into you that defiles you, but what comes out. So you need to make sure that you are speaking positively, thinking positively, and acting positively. If you employ this principle of being positive, the faith that you have will help you to achieve that which you wish to achieve. You have the faith you need. And so it is.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Yes, there is only love. Welcome once again to the Center for Divine Love. I want to ask this morning, as we prepare to receive the engrafted word, that you put yourself in position to maximize this time with us. So looking around right now and making sure that you're in a safe space in your homes or wherever you may be, and believing that you are, just simply close your eyes for a moment and take a big breath in through your nostrils, expanding your lungs to full capacity and holding that breath. Now exhale through your mouth, all the way down. And let us take another breath together. Big breath in, expanding your lungs to full capacity, allowing every cell, every system, the entirety of your physical being to be enlivened with the breath of life. Now exhale, letting go of that which no longer serves you, all the way down to the bottom of the breath. And continue to breathe in and out as we move into this morning's meditative thought. When you think of prosperity, you may think of financial wealth or your possessions. You may even feel tempted to compare your life to someone else's and feel as though you have come up short in comparison. Today, however, your understanding of prosperity expands and it grows. feeling safe and secure in who you are is prosperity. Knowing you're gloriously made in the image of Source is priceless. Realizing the abundance of the natural world and partaking of it is a gift. All of these are wonderful reminders you reside in the kingdom of heaven. The more you appreciate the riches of the material world, the more aware you are of your greatest prosperity, which is your oneness with Source, and so it is. Amen.
This morning, I want to talk about we African Americans creating a healing culture of love so that we can thrive beyond our wildest dreams. Today, on the cusp of Black History Month, let's take a deep dive into culture. Let's examine how slavery devastated our pre-colonial African culture, and how we need to dump the culture of the enslaved that we continue to live so that we can stop traumatizing and brutalizing each other today. Now, for almost 40 years of my life, I've been obsessed with fully understanding the meaning and power of culture. Since I always cringe whenever a talk starts with a dictionary definition of a word, don't think of this as a definition, think of it as a description. Culture refers to the cumulative deposit of knowledge, experience, beliefs, values, attitudes, meanings, hierarchies, religion, notions of time, roles, spatial relationships, concepts of the universe, and material objects and possessions acquired by a group of people in the course of generations. Culture, in its broadest sense, is cultivated behavior. That is the totality of a person's learned, accumulated experience, which is socially transmitted, or more briefly, behavior through social learning. A culture is the way of life of a group of people. The behaviors, beliefs, values, and symbols that they accept and that are passed along by communication and imitation, both consciously and subconsciously, from one generation to the next. Did you get that? Here's the short version. Culture is literally everything. Your view of the world, what you believe you can and cannot do, what you will try or not, what you believe or not. Culture defines every aspect of our lives. And American slavery, a culture that we were forced to live for hundreds of years, savagely extracted much of the beauty and power and compassion and love of our enslaved African ancestors and forced upon them an unwanted, very ugly, and tremendously harmful culture, the inhumane culture of American slavery. And because we've never processed that pain, that hurt, we've never decided how we could heal, we haven't healed. So today we unconsciously traumatize and brutalize each other because the vestiges of that culture remain embedded in contemporary African American culture. This is a little unusual, but I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, drop yourself into a quiet, meditative state, relax. I want you to allow yourself to just hear and feel a brilliant Black female mental health clinician, Tracy Berry McGee, speak of aspects of African American culture today. And I want you to hear her longing for one day.
time for a change. It's time for us to look at ourselves and look deep within and realize what is your purpose. It's time for you to remember back in the day when things were working well for you, your family, and your community. Our villages need a change. One day, families are going to sit at the dinner table and eat breakfast and dinner and pray. One day. One day, daddy's going to be the head of the household, not a name or a baby daddy on the outside looking in. Paying child support, having to knock for a visit, and not showing up for school plays or graduation. One day, baby brother and baby sister won't be sitting in the window or talking through prison walls or waiting for daddy to call because you promised me you would call, or you walked away after one day never to see me jump rope or play ball. Remember, you promised my mama you would come. One day. One day, mommy, one day. One day, mommy's not gonna leave her babies behind and run after the brother man, the crack man, the lover man, the beat your butt and put you on the corner man, the slap you down and say you ain't nothing man, and stop loving other women's husbands and take time for daddy and us. One day, mommy's gonna stay at home and cook and manage the books and greet her children with love and check the book bags and give me some consistency, some routine, show up for parent meetings and take care of my needs. One day, mommy will ask me how was my day and listen. Stop dressing like Little Kim and wanting to be in a soap opera or be in a BET video, but show up when I knock at the door and say, I love you. One day, my brother, one day. One day, brother will value education and love thyself and thy neighbor and stop killing Cain and Abel. Stop selling drugs on the corners to aunts and uncles and stop raping our sisters and talking back to your mamas. Disrespecting your babies, using profanity. Stop hating and trying to be like Mike or a PIMP or a rapper. And blaming the other man and go out and get a job and be somebody. One day. One day, my sisters, one day. One day, sister will say no more drama to being a baby's mama, to Tom, Vicky, and Harry and say, marry me first. One day, sister will stay in school and think it is cool to look at inner self and not reflect society's network. See, we're buying into Madonna's material world when we need to pick up a book and read Nikki Giovanni and learn your history. Tell that brother to stop calling her B and say, I'm a queen. One day. Communities, one day. One day our communities will strive and our education system will drive our kids to be able to walk to school with pride. Our politicians will not just speak the word and live a lie. One day police brutality will die and our penal system will rehabilitate our brothers and they will self-educate themselves and the next brother. One day our grandmothers will be able to come back outside and sit on the porch with our mothers, and kids will run down the block and come back, and discipline the kids will be a village thing, and sisters will braid each other's hair. There'll be no more corner liquor store thugs, no drugstore corner hustlers, and no more Chinese and Iraqis taking our money, and we will have the power one day. And one day lack of self-respect and illiteracy and HIV and AIDS and TV media, babysitting and child abduction, terrorist attacks and carjacks and crack and child abuse and no self-worth and not giving back will be words, and children will say, what's that? And I'm not finished yet. One day, stop the madness and we're living in hell won't be an understatement. Are you tired yet? I ask you, my people, when will one day be now? Why not now? Your time here on earth is not forever and you are not eternity. Sorry. So stop saying, one day I'm going to be a good child, or one day I'm going to stop getting high, or I'm going to use a condom, or better yet, I'm going to stop having sex one day, or one day I'm going to be a good mother or a good father and I'm going to go visit my grandmother, or one day I'm going to get on my knees and pray and get to know my God. My God, I got a message for you. My God wants you to stop saying one day and do it today, 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 today.
Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. Now, please don't be thinking, oh, let's just go back 400 years, rediscover African culture before slavery, and recreate it today. This is not possible. Besides, there's no reason to want to do that. Time doesn't roll back. It only rolls forward. from where we are today, and we have to acknowledge where we are today to create a better tomorrow. Yes, slavery hurt us bad. Our ancestors were forced to live the ugly culture of the enslaved in order to bring us to today. Yet today, our ancestors want to know, they want to know from us, why are we living by the survival rules they crafted during slavery and the dark days that followed? They want to know why today are so many of us living as if we ain't got no hope, no dreams, and no aspirations. Why are so many of us living like we ain't got no ancestors, no God? One day is not the day, because we are unconsciously continuing to live the culture of the enslaved. These behaviors were necessary to survive slavery, yet today they are unconscious, negative, mental legacies of slavery. You are correctly thinking of them, or you can correctly think of them, as unconscious, cultural, intergenerational trauma being passed from generation to generation. We simply have not analyzed the impact of slavery, so the culture of it continues to negatively impact our lives. We can't create a culture that existed 400 years ago, yet we can shake off the negative mental legacies simply by being aware of their existence. Then we can take out a clean sheet of paper and say, okay, now, what culture do we choose to create for ourselves and for our children's welfare? How do we get there? And let's get busy and make it happen. As part of my 40-year quest, I've studied the culture of others, and I want to share the defining beliefs of 3 different cultures. Ironically, they're all religious cultures. And I really don't see any positive value in identifying them by name. Rather, in each case, I'll share my perception of what the central and defining values and doctrines are, which are infused in every aspect of each of the 3 cultures. Also, please note that the doctrines of each of my 3 cultural examples are intentional, as in universally recognized, understood, accepted, protected, and reinforced. For each of the 3 examples, every member of that culture is expected to adhere to the cultural values, and in general, when someone who is a part of that culture tries to step outside the doctrines and values of that culture, well, basically everyone they know tries to help them see the error of their ways. If they don't conform, then sometimes they're ostracized, as if they were a virus that could infect and thus endanger the entire culture. The first example is a culture that has also been oppressed, yet they have chosen to use that history of oppression as a rock-hard motivator to empower themselves. These are their cultural doctrines and values. Love those of your culture, always. Love in reality, not just in words, always. Strive for financial security, always. Be honest with one another, always. Supportive of one another, always. Be the best friend of each other, always. Feel good about each other's successes, always. Ensure that children understand and live the culture. And win by always being better. Now let's look at another religious culture. My second example also has a history of being suppressed and having to pay a huge price for their religious freedom. They chose to create and live within their own community, within their own culture. They integrated some terrific life skills into the basic requirements of their religion, such as whatever job you have, work as if you are literally working for God. Do your best at everything you do. Embrace terrific financial literacy as a safety and security aspect of the religion, hence literally no debt, including cars and houses. They believe in being prepared for anything negative that might happen. Help one another always, tithe always, associate with one another almost exclusively, do all that is possible to control the future to the culture's benefit, ensuring that none go without necessities and no child without effective parenting. And of course, ensure the children understand and live the culture. The third example, the final example, is also a religious culture. At their cultural core is never look down upon or disrespect anyone ever. Always have high expectations for everyone, including yourself. Always recognize the unlimited potential of everyone. Always help one another achieve that potential. Truly seek and thus achieve excellence. Always be honest, respectful, and helpful to everyone. Always believe and have your behavior reflect the reality that everyone is equal. Always give your best in all that you do so that you can reap the greatness of what you have sown. Reap the greatness of what you have sown. Love as if you are a piece of God because you are. And recognize that love is an action word. So love constantly. They face life with confidence and courage. And of course, they ensure that their children understand and live the culture. Now, please note that in all three of these examples, these folks simply value themselves, have high expectations for self and others. They're in control of their destiny because they choose to be and because they know that they can, because they have. Now, what must we as African Americans do in order to heal our culture? Well, first, we got to dump the can't-do beliefs that flow from the slave theology that evil Christians beat into us and replace it with the power of the reality that we are a piece of God. They told our ancestors that they were cursed by a loving God to be their slaves, that our only hope for salvation was to avoid their wrath. While praying for salvation, it didn't come on planet Earth, so endure your prayers, and they're not being answered long enough to go to hell. Meanwhile, them slavers were telling themselves that God clearly loved them because he helped them to conquer the planet with better weapons and no morals at all. They told themselves that God must love them because they conquered. They told themselves that God loved ugly, brutal subjugation. At least those who fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War to end slavery, which cost America 650,000 lives and millions of serious injuries. But then was then, and this is now. Now there is absolutely no reason for us to listen to slave theology anymore. There is absolutely no reason not to stop brutalizing and traumatizing one another. I know that when any black person recognizes that unconscious negative mental legacies of slavery is what has us doing crazy stuff to one another, that they stop. Because nobody wants slavers to continue to win. We here at the Center of Divine Love understand this. We are Christians, New Thought, Divine Science Christians, who believe and listen very closely to what Jesus said. Jesus said that everyone is a child of God, that God unconditionally loves each of us and has no desire whatsoever to judge or punish any of his creation. Jesus said that each of us is literally an extension of God, just as he is. Jesus said that each of us is exactly as divine as himself. Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is to be created by us on planet Earth by using free will to choose love over fear and evil. Jesus said that we create our own reality. We compose our own life, for we have been given free will while on planet Earth. So you can have the power. So you have the power to experientially create yourself. Jesus said that if we understand and listen and believe that by moving to action and doing all that we know to do to accomplish a deeply desired goal, that God will clear the rest of the path by bringing forth whomever and whatever is needed, so that we in fact realize that deep desire. It's just a system God set up for us when he created planet Earth. Understand, God will not do anything for us that we aren't willing to tirelessly do, to work towards, for ourselves. His system is not for you to pray for him to create miracles to benefit you. God don't respond to begging prayers. God helps those who help themselves. And with God's laws recognized and respected, well, as Jesus said, all things are possible. So knowing who we are and whose we are is a basic prerequisite to our healing our African American culture. But it'll take more. It will take rock hard intentionality. With the power of conscious intentionality and an unwavering consistency, we can create a vastly better and more loving culture. Let's examine how intentionality can create a healing culture of love at home. In this case, my home. I was in a retail shop at a time that I was trying to figure out how to transform the culture of my own house for myself and my wife and for our St. Louis grandchildren who are often with us. I was led to this antique shop and to a particular plaque in that particular shop. Each time the grandkids come to visit, we sit at the kitchen table and they read it. And we all agree that this is what happens in this house. After that, we live it. After all, what child of God could want anything else? An expectation of love is intentionally created. Here's what it says. May this house be a place of happiness, laughter, and health, of safety and contentment, generosity and hope. A home of creativity and kindness, of daydreams and studying, of memories and tradition. May those who live here and those who visit know only blessings, peace, and love. It's a declaration defining culture. Now, cultural change can be difficult, so whenever anyone is acting inconsistent with the desired culture as expressed in the plaque, we just repeat the process. This little transformational tool was conceived with conscious intentionality. How will they know what is expected if we don't make it clear? And this simple concept can be utilized with any relationship. Consciously decide what your culture will be, and then gently yet consciously and consistently hold one another to that agreed standard always. There's another requirement for the healing of our African American culture. A culture of love is a spiritual culture. And in order to be spiritual, you must invite God to communicate with you and to hear what God communicates. After all, you do want the creator of the universe to drag you across the finish line, don't you? But God must be invited. And the invitation is quiet meditation. It's stillness in silence. It's necessary to establish a two-way connection with God and the ancestors so that you are able to hear and thus benefit from their infinite wisdom. And so they are crystal clear of your deepest desires so that they can help clear the path for your success. So just establish a culture of taking just 15 minutes a day for silence and communication with God and the ancestors. But please, don't invite God on a date and then be a no-show. God don't like wishy-washy. This is established very clearly in the Bible's book of James. The other thing that all effective cultures have in common is a shared sense of self and adherence to shared responsibility. Your child's my child. I value you and all children as God deserves to be valued and treated and aided and assisted. I'm willing to joyously invest and sacrifice to help you move yourself and your loved ones forward, right along with me and mine. Exactly what those other three cultures do all the time, always. So to truly heal a culture in total, you got to do more than dump the slave theology and establish intentionality and set aside time for communication with God. There's one other thing that we simply have to do because both our ancestors and children deserve better. We have to assure that our children's schools are also in the business of healing our culture. Please note that several religious groups in America joyously pay taxes to support public schools that they would never send their children to. Yes, school is that important, yes, educationally, but especially culturally. They understand the importance of culture, and they act to ensure that their children's schools directly reflect their culture. Are you aware that there are states very friendly to charter schools? Small, extremely small charter schools. For instance, in Minnesota, any tax-exempt nonprofit can create and operate a charter school and have it supported by public tax money. Think on this one. After all the COVID-era homeschooling, why not use public education funds to pay individuals to operate micro schools to educate our African American children? But let's not forget that a huge percentage of black children attend schools completely controlled by black school boards funded by tax dollars from majority municipal districts, majority black municipal districts. And frankly, it is shameful that the educational establishment has thrown up their hands and said in effect that educating our children is beyond them. They say, give me first a healed community culture and perhaps I can be an effective teacher again. Educators prove by what they do and what they do not do that maintaining the status quo is a lot more important than healing school culture. So our children's schools can be a place of refuge, of healing, of educational excellence. Educators need to be reminded that the foundation of learning is a meaningful longitudinal relationship between a specific child and a limited number of empowered adults. Clearly, factory schools have not served us well. We need to assign a specific group of empowered adults to serve the exact same children for at least 4 years, and schools will be effective again, whether they be charter schools, home schools, micro schools, private schools, or public schools. The secret sauce of cultural healing is conscious intentionality with the objective of a culture of love in action. Let us now be about healing our homes, our institutions, our schools, our culture, by creating a healing culture of love so that we can thrive beyond our wildest dreams. I had a disturbing occurrence this week. I asked both Alexa and Siri to play our national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I went through 5 different versions before I heard anyone sing the second verse. The second verse. In understanding and internalizing and respecting the sacrifice that was made so that we can exist today, so that we have the motivation to love ourselves, not just accept whatever we do to one another. That's embedded in the second verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing. So I've asked Cheryl and I've asked Peter on this, the cusp of Black History Month, to just sing that one verse. I want you to listen to the words of that one verse. I want you to listen to every word of that verse and internalize it as motivation to heal our community.
Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat. Let's not our weary feet come to a place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way with the tears have been watered. We have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of a bright star is cast.
Wow, that was powerful. You know, it's sad that we only know that first stanza and not the entire song. When I was a child, we started each school day. We sung the national anthem, and then our teachers, I had all black teachers, had us stand in a public school, and we sung the entire black national anthem. I guess that's why I'm so culturally grounded today, because I'm a child of the 60s. Thank you, Cheryl, for such a beautiful presentation of that second verse. And as we move into this next month, what is historically known as Black History Month, I pray that all of you will listen to not just the words that Howard has spoken this morning, but you'll listen to the words of that song. Well, we're still in this very sacred space. I'm here this morning to give you the opportunity to participate in our offertory. So right where you are this morning, believing that you've received something of value, I ask that you just take in your hand your imaginary wallet or purse or checkbook or an actual amount. And I want you to repeat after me. In my hand, I hold my seed. Today I sow my seed, not for need, neither greed. But I give because giving prospers me and those who receive it. Father, in our hands we hold this seed. Today we'll sow this seed. We'll send it perhaps by social media platforms. We'll put it in the coffers. We ask that that which is sent this way, as it lands in this ministry, that it is allocated to do the work of the ministry. Bless those this morning who had a desire to give, but had it not to give. May they learn that they live in a very abundant universe. And then bless those who had it to give and who have taken action to give. And we say this morning, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
Divine news for this Sunday. We witnessed something over the last couple of days that's probably happened in America maybe 1 million times in the last 150 years. And that's a black man being brutally beaten, in this case to death, by a policeman. In this case, 5 black policemen. This is the most powerful example of the power of culture imaginable. In so many places in America, the police have a long culture of the brutalization of black people, of making sure that somebody paid, even if they couldn't find who did the crime, with total immunity. Total immunity. Understand what that means. That means everybody in the police force knows what's happening. It means every public defender knows what's happening. It means every judge knows what's happening. It is the culture of oppression of black people in America that those videos now show, and thank God we have video today. And it don't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. We can change culture anytime we want to, because we're little pieces of God. One quick last thought. I'm a huge fan of a brother who's passed now. His name is Derek Bell. He was the first tenured faculty member at Harvard Law School. And he taught really serious law concepts through short stories. And he had a short story called The Electric Slide. And here's what happened in that short story. There was a Tyree Nichols case. Literally, it was a case just like that. And the setting was back in the 60s, and the vast majority of black women worked as domestics, and the vast majority of them, waited at bus stops in the morning to catch the buses to go to Miss Lady's house to work. And sisters were just so depressed from coast to coast, they just spontaneously, they started doing an electric slide. And because they needed room, to spread out and do this thing, they spread out into the streets. And the entire culture came to a stop. Everything stopped as sisters mourned in the streets during the electric slide. We don't have to allow society to go on demonstrating culture that brutalizes us. Let's do the electric slide. And that's your divine news for today.
All right. Now, let's do the electric slide. What a wonderful, wonderful word today. All right. Minister Asar doing it back there. A wonderful word today by Reverend Howard Denson. I was interested in Reverend Howard with the name of those organizations that you gave the explanation of them but did not name them. So we'll have that conversation. But the question to me, which one are you worshiping? Which organization are you worshiping? Are you worshiping the one that is filled with love, that cares about not only you, but your children and your children's children? Are you worshiping the one that, know that God is one, the one source, one power, that there's only one power? Who and what are you worshiping? So we'd like to invite you here at the Center for Divine Love, located at 3617 Wyoming, and I'm here to tell you that that's the God that we worship, understanding that God is love and has given us a choice, and the choice is to do exactly what we are born here to do, and that is to love you one another. For the scripture tells us that if we love one another, then we know God. If we don't know God. So who are we really and what are we really worshiping? To hear more about and learn more about culture, to learn about who we are and what we are and where we are today, We want to invite you to our transformational healing now, which should start really soon. Watch us on our website, which is centerfordivinelove.org, and we will give you that information when we will be having the retreats here. There's a lot of grieving that's going on right now in the community, and we ask that you come here and we grieve together. Again, we're located at 3617 Wyoming. Our website is centerfordivinelove.org. You can check us out on Facebook and on YouTube. Until next week, God bless you.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Peace began with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment